Hi and welcome to Wealthy Money. My name is Vangile Makwakwa and I am a money coach. Today I'd like to talk about anxiety about money. Now everyone feels anxious about money at some point, maybe all the time. That used to be me. I think I felt anxious about money most of my life. And some people just once in a while when they run out of it. But how do you overcome that anxiety around money? Well, I'll tell you a little bit of what happens with the brain when we're anxious and stressed. When we're anxious and stressed, our brain actually releases a hormone called cortisol, and cortisol actually makes most people gain weight, and it actually makes us not focus that well. So if you ever tried making a great creative decision when you're anxious and stressed, not gonna happen. That's because so much is happening in your body. You get a lot of adrenaline rushes, you get into fear, into fight or flight mode. So you either want to run or you want to fight this emotion. So the best way to always overcome our fear is to face it. Most people will say, well, I've been doing positive affirmations, or my clients will say, I've been visualizing money forever now. And I'm like, well, if you're anxious about money, that's not going to work because your brain doesn't believe that these positive affirmations are true. And it doesn't believe that this visualization is true. It's probably causing you even more anxiety. You're starting to feel really stressed. You're starting to think that there's something wrong with you, which all just piles onto the anxiety. So the best way to overcome anxiety is to actually sit with it and face that emotion of anxiety. EFT tapping is a great tool for this. So I always teach EFT tapping in a lot of my coaching sessions. And the idea behind EFT tapping is to just sit with the emotion and just let your mind, your subconscious mind, face it. Because when you tell your subconscious mind, I'm calm, your mind is saying, no, you're not. You're anxious. So it's rejecting that affirmation. So before you even do affirmations, I really suggest tapping and using EFT. So here's an EFT session that I'd like to do with you. So even though I feel anxious about money, that's okay. That's where I'm at anyway. Even though I feel anxious about money, that's okay. That's where I'm at anyway. Even though I feel anxious about money, that's okay. That's where I'm at anyway. I feel anxious about money. 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 All this anxiety about money. All this anxiety about money. I feel anxious 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 about money. All this anxiety about money. Maybe I could begin to release this anxiety. I wonder who I'd be without this anxiety about money. Maybe I can allow myself to just start to release this anxiety about money. I wonder who I would be without this anxiety about money. Take a deep breath. Now I want you to keep tapping and just rate the intensity as you tap, the intensity of your anxiety. So 10 being the most intense and 1 being the least intense. I would suggest that you tap until it comes down to about a 3. And then you can maybe start doing affirmations and start asking yourself questions about what is the next step I can take with my money. And you'll notice that you think a little clearer when you have less anxiety about money. The other thing that I want to talk about is questioning the mind. It's so important to understand the limiting beliefs that are giving rise to our emotions. So one of the things that I usually do is I have people work backwards. I use the mind-body connection, and I have people just sit with the emotions. So just sit right now and try to figure out where you feel the anxiety in your body. I hold a lot of my anxiety in my stomach and then in my throat. I just get a lump in my throat, and that's how I know I'm anxious. So I suggest you sit with it and then you ask yourself the simple question, where is this anxiety coming from? what is the thought that's giving rise to this anxiety? Just sit and wait. Close your eyes if you want to and see what comes up. So for me, the last time I did this was I was moving back from Boston to South Africa, and one of the things that came up was that if I move back to South Africa, I will starve. So when I got that thought, I used the Byron Katie method to question it. There are many ways to question the thought, but I love Byron Katie. So the first question you ask, is it true? And it's usually going to be yes, it's true. Obviously, I'm feeling this emotion, it must be true. So can you know that this is true? So could I know that moving back to South Africa meant that I would starve? And the answer was no, because I hadn't yet lived in that future. And as Byron Katie says, the best way to give yourself stress is to give yourself a future. Our thoughts always recreate the past, and we assume that because this happened in the past, it will happen again in the future. But to be honest, the only thing that you know for sure is the past and the present. You don't know the future because you haven't lived it. And the best way to craft the future is by focusing on your present and questioning the present as it is right now and taking action from the present, not based on what happened last year or yesterday or the last time you felt this way, because every day is different. So you're basically saying, well, if this happened in my past, it will happen again in my future, and you've already eradicated the possibilities of the future. So that's why we question the thoughts. So how do you react when you think this thought? So for me, how did I react when I thought the thought, I will starve, if I move back to South Africa, I will starve? Seriously, I didn't want to move back home. Who the hell wants to move back to a country where you're going to starve, or a future where you're going to starve? So who would I be without the thoughts? So one of the things that did come up was that who I would be without the thought was just someone amazing, someone looking forward to going home, to being with my family, to just enjoying things. And when I turned the thought around, which is really important, and finding 3 examples why the thought is true, something really amazing happened. So if I move back to South Africa, I will starve. The third turnaround is, if I move back to South Africa, I will not starve. And this was true for me because 1, I have family in South Africa. 2, I'm an entrepreneur, so I'm a life coach, so this is really obvious. I wouldn't starve. I just have to find clients. There are people in South Africa that need coaching about money, so I would find them. 3, I still had clients in the US that I could work with, so I couldn't starve, you know. But my mind really believed this really truly, that there was no market for me, and just understanding that helped clear up a lot of things for me. The other thought that I really questioned was, if I move back to South Africa, I will starve. The other way to look at it is to say, if my thinking moves back to South Africa, my thinking will starve. Well, to be honest, of course, my thinking was already starving. It was already going through limiting belief after limiting belief and giving me reasons why I shouldn't move back home. So for me, questioning that was really wonderful, because I was able to go to my aunt and tell her my deep beliefs. And one of the things she suggested to me was, well, when you come home, why don't you start a microfinance company? And actually that led to a whole new business idea for me. So I didn't only not starve when I got back to South Africa, I got a whole new idea that I have since implemented. So I hope this really helps you, and for you to start questioning your thoughts and just really facing your fears through EFT tapping. Please follow me on Twitter. The address is at the bottom of this video. And find me on my website. Again, the link is at the bottom of this video. Send me your success stories. Send me your questions. I really look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.